And we are live. You're listening to Interchain FM, the Cosmos radio station. If you're seeking alpha in the cosmos, look no further. I'm your host, Chjango Unchained. Today we are here with Milky Way. Milky Way in the Celestia, the biggest galaxy, the only galaxy in our galaxy. so, so welcome, Fabo and JB. For you who don't know, Fabo and I actually were ex-colleagues early Tendermint. So it's really good to see Fabo back in action. This is the last time I saw him was at Cosmoverse in 2022. And you guys had won a hackathon, Hackwasm, and now you're back a year later doing the most interesting thing, in my opinion, like one of the first applications on top of Celestia. So that's awesome. JB, you're the CEO and other co-founder of Milky Way, which is the liquid staking protocol for Celestia TIA token that went gangbusters. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So yeah, tell me your journey. How did you go from starting off in Cosmos to building a liquid staking protocol for Celestia?
Yeah, happy to introduce Milky Way, but before we're going there, would it be great if I give a quick intro to the audience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hello, JB. I'm the co-founder. I'm founder and CEO of Milky Way. Got into crypto back in 2017, and ever since then, I fell down into a rabbit hole as a blockchain engineer. And I remember my first job was to set up full nodes for major blockchains during that time, such as Bitcoin Cash like Ethereum, EOS like Quantum, and many other blockchains out there. And this was to build a centralized exchange in Korea. And during that process, I got to explore multiple blockchain communities to learn by playing around with their tech stacks. And at the end of like 2017, I became CTO at a company called Cosmos Station. And I was assigned to research various promising projects such as Cosmos and Definity and some other projects at that time around. So I landed on researching Cosmos. And because the more I looked into Cosmos of technical stacks like Tendermint Core and Cosmos SDK and the initial version of IBC protocol, I got fascinated by the vision of the Internet of Blockchains. And I love to be a part of the community. I remember I participated in incentivized testnets, both Game of Stakes and Game of Zones, and had a lot of fun. Yeah, so ever since then, I quickly found myself deeply involved in the Cosmos ecosystem as a builder. Yeah, so I'm really glad to be here. I remember the first time I saw Chjango when Cosmos Hub mainnet launched. You were wearing the astronaut costume as well. Yeah.
Still there.
Still wearing it. This is
Mhm.
actually version 1. Version 2 is a holographic light reflecting suit that
Nice.
fits perfectly. So
Nice.
we're all about upgrading here. Yeah,
Mhm.
welcome back, JB. It's really good to see you. Actually, I didn't quite connect the dots right as we were starting, but I thought your face did look familiar, but now I remember I did meet you. We met in Korea. Now that you say Cosmos Station, so it's
Mhm.
very good to see you building an actual like a protocol instead of like a
Yes.
wallet. I love Cosmos Station. I use Cosmos Station, of course.
Mhm.
So
It might be because I lost some weights for the past.
might have lost some weight. Well, looking good. That's what a bear market's gonna do to you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
keep it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
in regarding like how the project started, to give you some background, like I'll keep it short, but yeah, it's earlier this year I decided to give myself a year to find a project that I truly want to dedicate myself to building in this Web3 industry because I started not to feel any like ownership to, of the project that I work for. So I spent a month or two like researching various different projects within the ecosystem and contacting many founders out there whom I've known in this industry to hear their stories of how they started their projects. So I spent about like 7 to 8 months total wander around the ecosystems and look for what to build, and started some projects actually, like application specific for games, like GMX style project on Cosmos, but ended up not building it because I felt the limitation of building it on my own, and actually, to be honest, lost confidence by bigger players out there that I had not noticed during my due diligence. And so, after battling with myself and struggling for a while, I decided to just re-enter the job market. So I got hired as a blockchain engineer. And while I was working for a company for about like 2 to 3 weeks, one day I got a call from this guy, like within the Cosmos ecosystem, and one of the OGs. He asked me if I'm interested in liquid staking protocol, and we had a brief discussion around the technical barriers of Celestia chain and its opportunity, and got in contact with Sunny to discuss further about the design sketch that he had. It was actually the Sunny's idea. Um, yeah, so I did my own research and due diligence afterwards, and I strongly felt bullish. And so I decided to deep dive and start building it from day one. And after a few weeks, I felt short-handed, and the time was ticking. Right, Celestia mainnet was gonna launch, so that's when I started reaching out to all the great talented folks, the founding members whom I used to know. So yeah, that's how the project started.
So, Fabo, I would love to hear from your side and how you two got connected.
JV and June. June is the guy that is an amazing guy. I love this guy. He's one of the founders, and with him I won the hackathon in Korea. We always wanted to do something. We actually, after the hackathon, I went around and I wanted to start a project, but it wasn't really what people were interested in putting money on.
What was that project again? Yes, sorry. Yeah, I misspoke early on. I thought you won Hackwasm, but that's not right. It was the one in Korea. Yeah, Hack Out
exactly. We did like a IBC Explorer. So there's no Celaton, I think, which kind of resembles what we wanted to do. I had a bigger vision for it, but it's fine. Maybe it was ahead of its time, or I saw now like something like was it Abstract Finance is doing very, very cool tooling around Cosmos contracts. So this is kind of the direction I wanted to go in, but it's fine. And now I found, then JB called and was like, hey, like, what are you doing these days? And I'm a sucker for working with amazing people. Like, this is what I really want to do. I don't want to honestly, I'd rather chill at the beach than working with people that I don't really admire. And I give my 150% if I find the people that I want to work with, because it's exhilarating. Right? Like, you wake up every day, you have a message from somebody that you highly respect, and you're like, fuck yeah, I want to hustle, I want to do this, I want to do this. And so I'm always looking for this company, right? Like where I feel like I'm making a difference, I can contribute, and I'm actually learning something from amazing people. And I find this is a team. I would have as well assembled, but JB was faster, and so I'm very happy to join this project.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment. Where it's like if you're working on something that you just don't really care about, and you're working around people that don't challenge you, or maybe if you're the smartest person in the room, it's kind of a bad sign, right? And yeah, it's kind of like soul sucking. So I could definitely empathize with that. And yeah, just for like even more context, to rewind back to, oh goodness, like 5 years ago, Fabo, you were working on Looney. Remember, that was before.
Exactly.
Yeah, before there were even there was Cosmos State, before like there was much wallet support for Cosmos. So we were trying to solve that, and you were on the team that was trying to build the first wallet for Cosmos. Ultimately, the free market came in and solved that for us, thank goodness.
Mm-hmm.
And Cosmos Station being one of them. So it's very it's like apt that you're now working with like the CTO of the Cosmos Station wallet, and now you guys are working on a liquid staking
The
protocol.
worst enemies can become the best friends. Yeah.
The worst enemy. Yeah, if it were 5 years ago, you guys would have been competing directly with one another. No, that's not the case. Excellent. Okay, yeah. High level, explain Milky Way, milkTIA to me, or to people who don't understand it.
Yeah, sure. So Milky Way is a liquid staking protocol for Celestia ecosystem. So it's a self-explanatory, right? A lot of especially the folks who are watching Interchain FM, I'm sure you guys are aware of Lido, one of the big DeFi projects within the Ethereum ecosystem. So you can think of Milky Way the same way, a liquid staking protocol for the Celestia ecosystem, but we think bigger than that because right now this is our initial version. It only has liquid staking functionalities, but our next plan is to transition to Celestia ecosystem as a sovereign liquid staking rollup, and we're cooking up a lot of utilities around what to do with the liquid staking, and yeah, stay tuned for the updates, and there will be a lot of things, a lot of cool things and innovative ideas that we are discussing internally right now.
Yeah, I would say so. And when you mentioned Lido, it kind of implies that the ETH ecosystem came up with the liquid staking idea, when in fact I want to give credit where credit is due. See, Fabo here is nodding with me because he knows where I'm going with this. Liquid staking for proof of stake protocols was invented by Felix. Is it Felix Luch? I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's some German name. I'm sorry.
Cool guy.
Cool guy. And he was working at Chorus One. So this was actually like they came up with this mechanism in 2018, and they announced it at the very first Cosmos conference ever, and that was Interchain Conversations, and that was in Berlin. So that was really truly when liquid staking was introduced as a concept, and then it got adopted by Ethereum first because that they needed that, right? Because the merge didn't happen, and people only could unidirectionally stake their ETH without getting anything back. So now, fast forward to 2023, liquid staking is a huge thing, and you can't even, it's become normalized. You can't even imagine a world without it. So it's, credit where credit is due. Interesting things do come out of the Cosmos ecosystem, right? That's
the idea, right?
That point.
Because of modularity, we have much more space for experimentation in this ecosystem than in others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So there's another existing liquid staking protocol in the Cosmos. So I want to...
Many, right?
There are many. I am going to bring up the primary one, Stride.
Sure.
And how does Milky Way's mechanism differ from Stride's?
Our current design, in terms of our current design spec, Stride uses interchain account module at its core, and whereas Milky Way uses multisig with the Celestia's auth Z module. So that's the difference in terms of technical spec, and their whole thesis is to support as many Cosmos SDK based chains within the layer 1 blockchain ecosystems, whereas Milky Way solely focuses on Celestia ecosystem. That's why it makes sense for us to move to Celestia ecosystem as a sovereign rollup for our next plan. Yeah, we can talk about that later, but yeah, that's the difference, and in terms of the technical specs.
And they have a own chain where we are not. We are currently on Osmosis. I mean, once we become a rollup, it's kind of our own chain.
Got it. Okay. By the way, this is a note to the listeners who are tuning in live right now. If you have any questions, you could go ahead and put them in the chat on YouTube, and we will address your questions at the end of the stream. I know that a lot of you have questions about the airdrop, and that's something that we are going to address also towards the end of the stream. So be sure to stay tuned. So JB, you mentioned the differences, right? I'm just going to reiterate them in layman's terms. So Stride does interchain accounts, and that's more of this kind of bottom up construction whereby a user basically controls the liquid staking, like minting a liquid staking asset on Stride, but from the source chain. So if it's more permissionless and user oriented in that way, I would say. And that way they also don't necessarily have to do multi-chain deployments of these different contracts, right? Whereas in Milky Way's construction, it sounds like you do have to do multi-chain deployments on each host chain. And then you have some kind of routing logic on Celestia to understand to like see it and then like attest to those liquid stake transactions. Is that right via this multi-sig?
Yeah, so basically we use a combination of smart, like we have Cosmos smart contract on Osmosis layer 1 blockchain. It only has liquid staking functionalities. So that's what like user, brings TIA and they liquid stake through our contract, and then the contract issues the LST, the milkTIA, based on the exchange rate on the contract, and then the contract will IBC back to Celestia chain, and then that's when we leverage the auth-z module. There's going to be a staker multi-sig account, and this multi-sig accounts, like the funds are secured by this multi-sig account, and they're 5 of 7 configuration, meaning transactions need approval from at least 5 operators. We call it operators. They're trusted and largest players in the market, and they collectively.
And who are they?
Chorus One, Cosmos Station, the ASRV, 01 node, all nodes, Kepler. So yeah, they collectively secure assets worth around $6.6 billion. And
a lot of that's concentrated in Korea. Careful.
Yeah, 2-3 of them. Yeah. Yeah, and we have a account called the Granny account, and it gets
a Granny account.
Yeah, Granny account that has the limited authorization from the multi-sig account, so that the operator.
Oh, grantee. Yeah. I heard Granny like grandma.
Granny. We can call it Granny if you want.
I know. I thought you guys were being cute there.
So
Granny brings the milk would fit into the narrative.
Yeah.
I won't go.
Yeah, so we have grantee account that receives a limited authorization from the staker multi-sig account, because operators will need to, otherwise they have to sign every transaction when there's a liquid stake, when there's a withdrawal. So to make the architecture simpler, we leverage the auth-z module so that the grantee account has the limited authorization, so triggers staking and IBC transactions on behalf of the staker multi-sig account. So there's this coordinator program that uses that account to coordinate facilitate both layer 1 blockchains, Osmosis and Celestia at this point.
Okay.
And it started with we wanted to simplify the architecture a lot, but we figured out that this actually creates a much securer architecture, because the multi-sig that is kind of like the main point to attack here consists of keys that never need to see the light of day. Only in rare cases, when like a lot of configuration changes will happen, they can be pulled out of the wall, plugged into a computer, and like coordinated. But they're never hot. They don't need to sign every day. And the actors in this system, they're actually very, very limited to what they're able to do. and therefore the whole configuration, like there's no possibility that funds can actually leave the system, and that's actually very, very interesting.
Okay, yeah, help me understand. So as I understand it, this multi-sig committee basically delegates permission to sign to this grantee account. And who controls this grantee account? Is this like a programmatic thing? Is just a piece of software that runs it in an automated fashion? So the grantee account is the one that's signing all of these liquid staking transactions on behalf of the what do you call them? The operators?
Operators.
The operators. Gotcha. Okay. And okay, so as someone who invested in Celestia as a Series A investor, we have vesting TIA, right? Which means that it's locked up. So my question to you is, will Milky Way support the locked up tokens? Vesting tokens.
Currently, that is not possible because the base chain needs to support that. But we are trying to find a way to give them not the vesting token. Yeah, currently without the customization of a base token, it's not possible.
That's not possible because you need to transfer the ownership somewhere, and for vesting token, that's just not possible.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, by the way, we're the vesting tokens on Celestia, like we're able to stake them. That's
Yes.
It's amazing. Yeah, like on the other Cosmos
move,
chains as well.
Yeah. You can add IBC to other chain if the account is a vesting account.
The problem is like there is no guarantees, right? Like there with these ideas, like you can restake them to a certain validator and then this is accounted for, but there's no guarantees, right? Like as soon as I give you a token that acts as a voucher for your commitment to those tokens, you can take those tokens away because I don't control them, right? Like you just say, I don't like this validator anymore. I'm staking with mine again. So I have now these vouchers that account for a lot of my money. And then I also have the money. So you have kind of a double spend situation. So it's not possible if the base chain doesn't support liquid staking directly, like the Cosmos Hub does.
Okay. Yeah, so help me understand the architecture of Celestia a little bit more. So is there a VM like Cosmos where you deploy contracts to, or else how are you deploying logic on a DA chain?
We don't.
We don't.
Okay, so you're a rollup on Celestia.
We're kind of a rollup in a funky, different way than the rollups that you see these days, right? Like we're kind of rolling up to Osmosis.
Okay, can you unpack that for me a little bit more? So you have a Cosmos contract on Osmosis.
On Osmosis, which is like the persistence and the logic. And this contract performs on Celestia.
I'm not understanding how this contract performs on Celestia. What does that mean?
So the contract has all the logic to grant the tokens back to the Celestia chain, and then the grantee we talked about, right? This program that has certain authorizations acts on those spendings. So if the staker account sees tokens, right, it will automatically stake them. And when people want to unstake, there's a request for unstake in the contract, and the program, the coordinator program, will unstake the tokens, and he is only allowed to send them back to the contract.
Okay.
When staker multi-sig account grants IBC transfer message to the grantee account, you can specify which address that the grantee account can only allow to transfer. So we have this grant of IBC transfer that specifies the our Osmosis contract address. So it cannot IBC transfer to any other accounts other than the Osmosis contract address. So that's the security concern that we prevented.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me if I'm understanding this correctly or incorrectly. So on the Celestia base chain, is that where the operators are? Is that where the operator's multisig is? Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that multisig is the one that controls staking on the Celestia blockchain.
Correct.
Okay. And now you're you have a different contract that's on Osmosis that understands who's actually doing the liquid staking, who's doing the LPing and the supercharged liquidity pool, and all of that. And so
Right.
there is like an IBC logic
Mhm.
in order for these two blockchains to understand what's going on in the other.
That's correct.
All right. Cool.
And to give you a little bit of more context, because like some audiences might not know why we chose this design initially, because Celestia chain is a fairly standard Cosmos SDK based chain, and it solely focuses on providing data availability for rollups.
As
And
limited as possible, right?
yeah, and that's what it solely focuses on, providing a DA for rollups. And it does not have any smart contract environment nor interchain account module. So anything that has nothing to do with DA, it doesn't have it. But it has standard Cosmos SDK module. That's why we can leverage the auth Z module, so that we can we can have the staker multi-sig account that's set up by our operators, 7 operators, and then ask operators to sign, give grants to this granny account, specific like limited authorization, so that the granny account can trigger staking and IBC transactions on behalf of our Milky Way users.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
It's definitely
all.
the granny account now.
It's the granny account. Give me that milk. Yes. Okay, great. Now I understand it. So we're going to cover some questions that you received on Twitter, right? Oh, and by the way, if you're lost about Celestia and Celestia's architecture and how that works, we did 2 previous episodes with Celestia, with Mustafa Al-Bassam and with Ishmael Coffee, who is another one of our ex-colleagues, with Fabo and myself. So please listen to a primer of our interview with Celestia there. The first one is the real primer, and that was conducted in 2021, if I'm remembering correctly, but don't quote me. And the other one was conducted right at mainnet launch, so be sure to check those out. Okay, airdrop questions that we received on Twitter.
The juicy ones.
And then we'll go to address the questions from the audience in the live stream who are tuning in via YouTube at Chjango Unchained. Okay, you gotta ask the questions on my YouTube channel. Okay, first one is, how will you guys handle potential airdrops for TIA holders to those who are holding milkTIA?
Sure. Yeah, we've received a lot of questions regarding airdrop. This is one of them, I'm sure. Yeah, so if there's an airdrop for TIA stakers, then our multi-sig account will receive them on behalf of Milky Way users. And depending on a project's distribution mechanism, we anticipate that the amount will be different depending on how they do it, right? So we have no intention of keeping any airdrops to ourselves or to the protocol, but we are planning to distribute them accordingly. But we just don't know, like, we just need to discuss how are we going to execute this. So we are currently ironing out the details, and then we can probably give you an update regarding this in the coming weeks.
Yeah, actually, this is the same exact question from Tim from our audience, who says, do milkTIA holders get the same set of Celestia ecosystem airdrops compared to normal TIA stakers? Well, he asked it in a different way, so maybe you could address that question in a more nuanced manner.
Yeah, same question.
Yeah. I guess his question would be, do milkTIA holders, are they treated differently than normal TIA stakers when it comes to airdrops?
It really depends on a project. It's case by case, because some projects, like historically, they use like a square root mechanism to prevent, like, to give
The
less
quadratic
airdrop
airdrops.
amount. Yeah, quadratic airdrop. So it really depends on a project. So we will see how things go. We will definitely try to contact those projects because they're in the Celestia ecosystem, and to coordinate with them and making sure that our Milky users get the airdrop amount that they get.
Yeah, do you know how Stride does airdrop distribution, and do you know how different that would be? Because the multi-sig construction almost kind of forces you into this position where you almost have to like manually get the grantee account to distribute it back to the stakers. So that's a little bit suboptimal when it comes to that. But yeah.
That's all doable. Technically, that's like we can just set up a distribution contract and allow the grantee to send there the everything else but TIA, and then distribute from there. But the question is like just how to distribute, like how much is the airdrop in this case, and how do we distribute them to the milkTIA holders, which is difficult because it's not a asset that you should probably hold. It's a asset that you want to LP, so you need to work with a lot of dexes to see like where do people actually LP and stuff like that.
Right. Okay. The next question is, I have TIA staked in the traditional way. Can I redelegate to you guys to avoid unbonding period?
We
It's
had that
the same
question already.
question. Yep. Without the base chains customization, it's not possible at this moment.
But maybe you wanna restake, and maybe stuff is happening if you do.
Okay. Any compensation for early testers?
Oh, for that question, yeah, we are grateful for all the milkers that participated early on.
All
It
the
was really,
milkers.
yeah, we call them
That's
milkers.
your community. I love it. Oh my goodness. That is so
Yeah.
memeable.
Yeah, milkers. And it was really helpful to receive all the feedbacks and suggestions from them. That's why we could successfully launch, and it's running smoothly so far. And I just want to let them know we really care about the community, and we're actively listening to their voices. So yeah, we will definitely take into our consideration, and we will provide more details about the compensation, like how much exactly for each early tester when we are ready.
Okay. Juggernaut Jess asks, can they explain in detail why TIA is geoblocked in US specifically? I think that's more of a question for the Celestia team. You know, I could guess, and the reason for that is because it's highly risky at this point for any crypto project to open themselves up to US citizens, because in the US we have a certain Mr. Gary Gensler working in tandem with a certain Indian Native American woman named Elizabeth Warren, who together are basically turning the United States into a sanctioned country for crypto projects de facto. So that's why. Basically, if you talk to any lawyer as a crypto project, they're going to tell you do not serve the United States. And that's where we're at right now. And
move to a different country. The world is beautiful. There's many beautiful countries out there to live.
that's
Korea,
true.
for example.
Yeah. I'm trying to get out to go to Asia next year. So let's see where that goes.
Mm-hmm.
And Tim asks, what early tests are Milky Way currently doing?
So currently we are testing mainnet. We always did testnet, but we tear them down after a while again. Currently, there's nothing major going on, I think.
Cheers. The stream is nice. From Tim. Thank you so much, Tim. Appreciate the love. Juggernaut Jess says, appreciate your answer, but we shouldn't kowtow to these elites. I like this girl. This is my kind of person. Juggernaut Jess.
Rebel yell.
Yeah. I know, right? Speak truth to power. Yeah, exactly. We should not, right? But we should also get out of the United States before doing anything that doesn't kowtow to these elites. It's so ironic that in the U.S. we have people like Elizabeth Warren, who's like ostensibly is for the little guy, and she's all protecting consumers from themselves, from protecting consumers from making money, but really she's the one who's part of the revolving door. Did you see that letter that she sent to was it Coin Center? Coin Center got a letter from Elizabeth Warren that and she alleges that Coin Center, which is the crypto lobbying firm, that they are the revolving door, and that the crypto, like they're the ones, we are the ones who are corrupt, and it's not the politicians who are taking bribes.
Sure.
Right? Sure. I'm like,
because everybody knows that politicians are clean and not corrupt. And
so clean. Yeah, so clean. Elizabeth Warren, you're totally legit here. Like, I believe you. Whatever you think you are. Okay. And finally, and this is another question from Twitter. Will there be an airdrop for Milk token?
Yes, we have already allocated some portion for airdrop. For that, stay tuned for further updates on our social media.
Are you able to disclose any details about the requirements? Like, are you allocating to certain stakers, or Celestia stakers, or milkTIA stakers?
We are, the only thing that we are comfortable of disclosing at this point is we are implementing a gamification campaign similar to what Zero in the Solana ecosystem. They've done an amazing job. The rewards point system. So that's something that we
Jito.
The Zito. Yeah. Jito.
Jito. Yeah, there's Jito, and then they also have MarginFi, right? It's so funny. It's like crypto as an industry reinvented credit card points. It's like we're constantly like refiguring out these old concepts and turning it into something farmable just because there's speculation on top of it. It just goes berserk. Okay.
That's good, right? Like, learn from the past. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Try to make it a bit different, a bit better every time. But like, there's so many good ideas out there, especially in the Web 2 area. We learned a lot from that, so leverage this for the users.
Yeah, I mean, there really are, and I'm just constantly surprised at how much like over the shoulder breathing, that like these helicopter regulators have over crypto, when these credit card points with like airplane miles. Like, how is that not regulated? Why do you think that that's completely
Sure.
okay? Meanwhile, it's like crypto's allocating points, and there's just like a bunch of degens farming tokens, and that's not okay, right?
Mhm.
Just
That's a
because
valid
there's like,
point.
it's right, like the Starbucks gift cards, same thing. What, like, why aren't you breathing over their necks and like trying to regulate Starbucks gift cards? Maybe we should just like rebrand crypto to just like, oh, we're just all gift cards, and then they'll leave us alone.
Yeah, I met this company that buys and sells gift cards, and they are transacting via this because this is not regulated. How is this any different?
I know. It's so backwards. Okay, Fago asks, will there be vegan milk?
We can ask Granny.
Granny, will we have vegan milk?
Maybe in the future. We'll see.
Yeah, let's get almond milk in the mix, and oat milk, and all those other alternative milks. And when milk. Okay, anyway, none of these questions, they're all trolls questions. Okay, so in terms of milkTIA to the TIA pool on Osmosis, what can people actually do there? It's live on Osmosis. People can start trading. But what's the most interesting use case that people could use this for?
In terms of milkTIA and TIA, or from a LP's perspective?
From an LP's perspective on Osmosis.
We're targeting to launch our own token in Q1 next year. So we're...
And that's mainnet, right?
Yes. So we've already launched our product that only has liquid staking functionalities, and there's liquidity pool already on Osmosis Dex. We have captured, in terms of TVL, we have captured 3.2 million now, and we have coordinated with Osmosis DAO to provide some liquidity incentives for that pool. And since we haven't launched our token yet, so there's got to be something when we launch our token. That's what we are ironing out the details in terms of airdrops, liquidity incentives, and what should we do for the early LPers, TIA stakers, TIA holders. Yeah, we are considering the various actors in terms of how are we going to distribute, and what actors do we need to consider.
And like for the utility of milkTIA, we're in talks with a bunch of DeFi platforms already. Maybe this year, maybe early next year, we will be integrating with a bunch of money markets, so you can use those milkTIA actually to get money from it.
Right. So just to like spell out the use case for y'all who are listening.
Mm-hmm.
For
example, the Mars protocol, the landing market, and you can swap through the Osmosis Dex now, and we're speaking with the Quasar as well, and margin protocol, and we are speaking with nearly all the Cosmos DeFi platforms, and it will be our liquid staking token, milkTIA, will be listed in the coming weeks and months, one by one.
What's the current APR on the milkTIA pool?
Oh,
I don't know. We need to check.
Yeah, we need to check. It's not on top of my head.
Yeah. Either way, sure. So as a user, you should be wanting to liquid stake your TIA and getting milkTIA back, because you're earning liquid staking rewards, or you're earning staking rewards from doing that.
6.9%, including the swap fees.
That's the pool. Yeah.
It's the
And
pool.
so, and if you are long on TIA, then you want to be earning the staking rewards, and you want to earn an extra, what'd you say, 6.9%?
Yeah, 6.9%.
And you want to earn an extra 6.9% APR on the staking rewards, or sorry, the LP rewards for milkTIA and TIA. So that's a compelling use case already for, right? Because then you don't lose any exposure to TIA ultimately, because you just can't, right? It's like milkTIA is redeemable 1-for-1 for TIA, and so you're just you're adding to your exposure to TIA. And how are Milky Way validators chosen? Is it that you're just distributing it's like equally distributed based on your TVL to all of the validators? And
So
are
currently
you
it's an equal distribution, but we will switch to a more weighted distribution across the validators, and their fees, because in the end, what we want to provide for our users is the minimum fees, so that they make the most money out of this, while still having exposure to the best validators.
how often is this this calculation done? Like, how often are you guys thinking about changing the logic for staking to which validators? How often would that happen?
The logic, or like the distribution itself?
The distribution logic.
So the distribution can happen very frequently. As we're constantly having TIA coming in, we can constantly redistribute them. Like we just would like stake a little bit more there or a little bit more there. So we're adjusting constantly the distribution. Also based on how the validators react, if they would increase or decrease their commission rate, we can react to that.
For the distribution logic, so are you going to make it more weighted in favor of the smaller validators than the bigger ones? Or is it purely going to be commission fee based?
I think so. But JB, please.
Yeah, it is not planned at the moment, but if the community wants that path direction, then definitely that's something that we can explore.
Fair.
Crypto Deadbeat asks, so are you planning to milk up all Celestia rollups that have tokens?
Let's milk those rollups.
Seriously. All right, milkers. You got work to do.
I think that's the idea. It's JB's vision is to become this the main staking provider, liquid staking provider for the whole Celestia ecosystem, where Celestia is this layer 0 protocol, and there's all those rollups happening. And I mean, I love the technology. I love the team you invested. This is a great protocol. There will be 1 million apps on this, I think. And we can be this provider. We can be the main liquid staking provider for this ecosystem. And there's like, I mean, very sexy topic right now is restaking. I mean, imagine what we can do to provide restaking for TIA as a security for the rollups. Can be very interesting.
Yep. Specifically, the services and infrastructures, such as the bridges, oracles, and sequencers that are on top of rollups. Similar to how EigenLayer's concept of restaking service, they have this concept of pool security, the sharing security to those services and infrastructures that are not inheriting security from the Ethereum consensus. So in similar sense, services and infrastructures that are not inheriting security from the Celestia chain, they can use the restaking service to get the share security.
Okay, so you're using the word restaking in the context of Ethereum now. So, I mean, my understanding of that is that you're taking the same, like your same initial capital, and then basically duplicating it across all the different chains.
You're kind of like, what you're doing is you're adding more risk to the asset, right? And with this risk,
Aren't you
you're
adding more
securing more
security risk to the underlying chain by doing that?
I mean, the assets still get slashed, but as long as we never plan to overtake Celestia with liquid staking, we would always have certain caps. So I don't think there would be any security risk to Celestia
No.
itself.
But okay, sorry. So I'm probably misunderstanding, but the Ethereum definition of restaking is you have the same ETH. Let's say you have the same initial capital of 31 ETH. And to restake means that you could take that same ETH and stake it on another rollup like Arbitrum with the same ETH. And so doesn't that make it inherently less secure by using the same capital to stake across different proof of stake chains?
I mean, what would happen if you get slashed on Arbitrum?
I don't know. What does happen?
So you're not staking ETH on Arbitrum. You're staking a derivative of ETH on Arbitrum. So this derivative gets slashed, and then the protocol decides how to handle the slash. They would probably liquidate some of this and pay the slashing fee in that case.
Okay, so what's happening is it's not native ETH that's being slashed. It's the native ETH, which is used for securing the Ethereum blockchain. It's that the derivative, like an economic derivative, gets slashed for like staking in the sense of DeFi without any security. Okay.
It's still, I mean, this still has value, right? It's still like a collateral in there.
Sure. Right. But the collateral in this case is used for something else, like more like lending, and the collateral is not necessarily like application specific to being a staking token.
It doesn't really have to be, right? It doesn't have to be a token itself. You could secure a chain with whatever collateral you want. I mean, you could put up your house, and if your validator gets slashed, you lose the house to the bank. It's the same system. Just it's simpler to use a fungible token to handle this.
I'm glad you mentioned the housing market, because that makes this analogy much easier, right? Because now I'm thinking like the end state of an unchecked derivative market on top of the same collateral is equivalent to like a subprime mortgage market, right?
True.
So in this case, how does a transparent DeFi system remain accountable to the underlying protocol if we have like derivatives on top of derivatives, basically restaking to other chains?
But I mean, like Ethereum is kind of like I wouldn't call it a subprime mortgage. So it's kind of like a value asset. And I hope TIA will be too, as it is kind of like the base layer for the security.
No, I mean, the underlying asset is an asset no matter what. It's the idea that if you're doing loans on top of the same asset, that causes a heavily weighted there's like a small base of capital, which is the underlying good asset, but then by building layers upon layers of derivatives of using the same asset, that creates like a heavy, upside down pyramid of potentially like,
but it's the other way around with subprime mortgages, right? So you would actually take a very bad asset. You would secure your chain with like Huawei tokens or something like that, and
Hey,
then
no
say
shaming Wawa.
like a token that has like high risk potential, and you're saying, okay, but this is the value of it right now, and then you're ignoring the downside risk. So maybe this, like, I don't call it Huawei, let's call it like shit chain, goes down, then obviously there's a huge impact. But if you have this like blue chip chains like Ethereum, Bitcoin, hopefully TIA will be in the same league in no time. I don't see this being the same risk profile.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, we're gonna go back to questions from the audience. Taiki Maeda asks, how will Milk airdrop be handled? Discord mentioned a point system, but are milkTIA stakers right now earning points? Is that a yes, Fabo?
So we haven't really specified the point system yet. I think we are on this actively, probably in the next couple of days. We'll have a better checklist of cool people working on it, and then we can share what it will be. I mean, I would guess yes, but I can't really say.
Right. So harkening back to one of the first questions that was asked on Twitter. So if you're already staking on Celestia, you can't easily redelegate it in order to liquid stake it on Milky Way. You have to unbond it and then redo that process to okay. However,
But
that
you would
being
need,
Go
you
ahead.
would need to do that anyway. If you want to participate in any liquid staking protocols, you want to leverage those extra 6.9%, you want to go into money markets with your assets, there is no chance on Celestia that you wouldn't do that, right? Like you can't use your stake tokens in any of this. So you need to unbond. If you want to stake with us, you want to stake with someone else, you still need to unbond.
Gotcha. Ryan Louie asks, what's the utility for the Milk token? Will there be staking locking for a share of protocol revenue?
Yes, we are ironing out the details again for that. The Milk token is all about, like, we are currently discussing like internally about the tokenomics, the airdrops, because we are fundraising at the same time. So that's why the tokenomics is not really fixed at this point. So we can give more details around in the next few weeks, I presume.
Will be mainly a governance token for the DAO. So this will all transition to a DAO in Q1, right?
Yeah, Q1.
And
then
the DAO will receive the protocol fees.
mhm.
How is the DAO going to be managed? Is that also managed by multisig, or is there actually going to be more of like a validator set?
Multisig, the DAO committee is something that we're thinking because it's a standard practice for other DAOs within the ecosystem. So if there's a better and optimal solution, then we will definitely investigate it into. But right now, we're currently thinking multisig as well.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. That's fair. Okay, cool. We're going to wrap up on this stream very soon. If there's no more last minute questions, then we could close that up. Great. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming on the show, Fabo and JB. This has been amazing. We've so I mean, one final thing, is it fair to say that before your mainnet launch, if people want to unbond their TIA in order to liquid stake, do they have time to do that, or do they not?
We already launched.
No.
Yes.
In order to, potentially farm the Milky Way native token.
Yes, we're going to be announcing that in our Twitter. for sure, so that
Legally, we can't say anything. Right?
yes,
You said it.
Especially if you have American citizens on the channel. Yeah, we're listening.
legally,
We might be
Exactly.
trying to farm it with a
I mean,
VPN.
I would do it, but like without any guarantees.
yeah, no financial advice.
No
And
financial.
by the way, we're all invested. We all have our TIA on Milky Way.
Can you at least hint as to whether or not if someone decides to take the risk of unbonding their TIA, that it may be worth
I mean,
it for them?
as a normal person, I would do it, but I wouldn't trust anybody in this space because this is a cyberpunk community.
I don't trust verify
Exactly.
with
Always verify.
always verify with yourself and your gut instincts. All right, Moonstars, I love you back, sir. Nice bad kid, by the way. Very happy holidays. All right. This has been great. This has been a very fun stream. I'm so glad that you guys are back in action, and I love what you guys are doing. I think I haven't seen either of you for like 1+ years, so this is great when we come back on this podcast. Actually, this is just great. Okay, so by the way, to our listeners, this is our last live stream of the year, and we are going to come back in full swing in 2024. However, know that I am switching up my content strategy a little bit for the coming bull market. So we're thinking about how to create more viral content. So I know that you're used to hearing educational only content, but we're also trying to reach retail by the next bull cycle. And retail, it's just like, all I'm saying is get ready for more retarded content. Less like I mean, like, I think that this podcast has been mostly like maybe like more or less big brain stuff. I get a lot of big brains on the show, but then we're going to introduce some more retail palatable content, because the feedback I've gotten from just like my normie friends is that they don't even know what language we're speaking English, but it's like it may as well be foreign to them, right? So I'm going to be tailoring my content more to that audience, hopefully, so that we could cast a wider net. Because crypto is very hard to grok for someone new, and there's in 2024 and 25 are going to be bull markets, like, mark my word. So and this next cycle, it's just
hopefully.
Like, if you look at the collective IQ of the people who've like entered the space for every single bull market, it's just like downward trend. So we need to be addressing retail, so that retail can understand how to speculate into Cosmos and interchain and beyond. So, all right, I love you guys. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. We are going to do one final pre-recorded show. That's going to be a special show. That is actually not crypto related whatsoever. It's going to be a lot more about like the macro political climate. So what's your name? Juggernaut Jen. I think that's something that someone like you would like. So sorry, Juggernaut Jess. That's something that Juggernaut Jess would like. It's about not kowtowing to those elites. And we're fighting the good fight one step at a time. Fuck the system, all that good stuff. All right. And with that being said,